Hello, everyone, and welcome to 40,000 Layers. In this show, I'm Tashna. Hello. I learned to paint a whole bunch of minis, and I think I'm getting better at it. I say that every time, but I genuinely think I'm getting better at it. And Sheepy, aka the Wandering Inn. You gonna chime in?
Hello.
Hello. Sometimes you do chime in, and sometimes you do not. And it's stressful. But that's Sheepy. He teaches us about Warhammer 40k lore. So that's nice. This is a sort of cursed intro today, I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm letting you flounder. I just want to see where this is going.
Great, cool. Yeah, I'm a little bit stressed, but that's all right.
Okay.
Just mock me. It's fine. Thank you to the folks supporting... That was loud, whatever that was. Thank you to the folks supporting the show on Patreon over at patreon.com/40,000 layers. Those folks are Thornlord, Ian, particularly Money, Damned Man, Ramona, V Mushroom, Retrograde Vector, Azean, and Grey Blue One. So thank you so much for all the support already. If you want to support the show and check it out and check out the extra posts, go over to Patreon. There are Patreon exclusive posts. There is a custom Discord channel, and patrons can actually vote. Once we brought it back again, can vote for the topic that is coming in March. Yep. Is that the right one? April.
This is February, so March will be
April.
your choice, which you've already chosen.
Yes.
So April.
For the April topic, which will be announced in March.
Yes. It gets confusing. It's fine.
I don't even know when I am right now, to be honest. This month's topic
February.
is the Tyranids, and the topic that we're going to be doing for March is Necron characters. So we're going to go a little bit more into depth with specific characters because the Necrons are my
Trazen,
favorite.
Silent King, Oricon. He warned you.
He did tell us, and Steve, obviously.
More Steve.
Most important Necron that anyone has ever known, honestly. But yes, check that out over on Patreon. Today's topic, as I said, is going to be the Tyranids. I said.
The Pyramids.
Yep. And I'm going to be painting this Tyranid.
Question is, did the Necrons build the Pyramids?
They don't build, they only eat. Probably. I don't know if that's true.
The Necrons don't eat at all.
Yeah, that's very sensible, frankly. This is from the Hormagaunt Brood set because I picked that set.
Could I ask the lovely the lovely patrons who quite often post up memes in the 40,000 Layers Discord while we're chatting?
Okay.
Hey guys, could one of you do the aliens meme, but just with Tyranids, please? Thank you.
What meme?
You know the aliens meme?
Oh, the aliens guy where he's like...
Yeah.
His hair. Yeah.
I just wanted to say Tyranids.
Well, who's to say they didn't?
Mm-hmm.
Make the pyramids. The Tyranids.
The Tyranids.
You don't know. Okay.
Did I throw you off course?
Sorry, no. My dogs are outside. I've primed this lovely Tyranid in Wraithbone with the idea that it would be a little bit easier for me. But honestly, I probably have to do a base coat anyway. Because it's not the unpatchiest of priming jobs. So that's fun for me.
We also have the announcement.
The announcement that I didn't write down. If you guys do not follow me on Twitter, why not, first of all? And secondly, you will now know when I tell you in a moment that we're having I don't know what's going on today. We're having a bonus episode of 40,000 Layers with a guest. And that guest is Katie Peters Plays, who's a wonderful human being. You can check her out on Twitter over at PlayKatiePlay. She does a lot of tabletop role playing, and she's never painted minis before. So
KPP.
KPP. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. We've already got the minis. And yeah, so we're gonna be checking that out. It's gonna be streamed on Twitch on February 25th, and then see how we go moving forward. If that is something that you enjoy, let us know, because then we will
Hell yeah.
get more guests on and stuff. But if we don't know that you enjoy it, then that's not ideal.
Basically, both Tash and Katie are going to be painting. Tash is going to help Katie paint because it's Katie's first time painting. And I'm just going to talk about 40k lore like I usually do.
I am excited. I am super excited. Yeah. I love Katie. She's brilliant. Tell everybody. I was going to say don't tell anyone. Tell everybody.
Don't tell anyone. It's a secret.
And obviously, we're going to have a nice little chaotic energy for Sheepy to deal with.
Yay.
So, hooray for you.
By the way, the Tyranids meme is already up.
I know.
Did you see it too?
Words are hard, you know.
I love it.
It's only my first language. So... The Tyranid is very pale and is going to be a little bit bright for a moment. And yes. Already my microphone is in the way. As
well, you start going and I'll carry on where you left off. Those of you who may be interested, go and check out the Patreon to support this show. It pays for the paints and the minis that Tash does. And as we grow in Patreon size, like a tumescent bulbous Tyranid sack... Yuck.
Wow, okay.
I don't know what. No, I don't know why I went there. Okay. Let's just ignore it and carry on, please.
Very noble.
Don't meme that one.
Or do.
Or don't. There are every $25 on the Patreon, we do another Space Marine like
faction
video
group.
Essentially.
Yes.
We chat about a faction and then release it out, and we talk about the Primarch, we talk about the Legion, the original founding legions, and we'll probably talk about other small factions like that, like other Space Marine chapters and things. We'll do the Lamenters at some point; they're fun.
I've been enjoying the ones we've done in the past already.
Yeah, we did Angron last time. It's not out yet, so that's the next one to unlock is the Angron chat, I think.
Angry boy.
Yeah. Is it any surprise that Tash liked him?
Look, I'm just contrary.
I don't literally every loyalist Primarch, you're like, they sound like a dick, I hate them.
Mm-hmm.
And every angsty emo teenage Primarch, Tash is like, he sounds like such a nice guy. Like,
he's such a bad
he's so sweet.
He just wants to be loved by his I mean, I'm spoiling the episode here.
Yeah. But, yeah, so there's that. And then also, of course, as we keep going, eventually, as we unlock milestones on the Patreon, I get paid, Tash gets paid, we have a whole load of... I haven't looked at the goals for quite a while, so I shouldn't really talk about it, because I can't remember what all of them are.
Well,
I know at some point we get drunk. Yeah, I was about to say, I know at some point we get drunk.
There's 2 episodes a month rather than, 2 streams a month,
yes.
and extra episodes. That would be quite a lot. That would be quite a lot of content.
Yeah.
And there's other things. Sorry,
there you go.
I've started painting now, so like.
Yeah, no, you. So the Tyranids.
I've started my job.
Next week, not next week, next episode, we are going to be having the Necron characters, and those of you who are patrons can vote on the one after that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the options are the Imperial Guard.
Oh, shit. Okay. Fine.
The Imperial Guard, the Space Marines. Oh, wait, knocked it over.
That was a bit of a delayed response, mate.
Well, I saw it on the stream. it is the Imperial Guard, the Space Marines, or the something else. What was the other option?
There was the Harlequins. There was 4 options,
Harlequins.
actually, that you
Wait.
told me.
Oh yeah, that's right. I replaced the the Necron option with the finish the Commander Farsight story.
Commander Farsight.
Because when we were doing the Commander Farsight story, I got about a quarter of the way through and we'd already gone way over the time limit. So I'm really enjoying talking about Commander Farsight.
There was a lot.
So I figured I was selfish. I was like, let's sneak more Commander Farsight in there so we can talk about him more.
He's determined. He wants it to happen.
There you go. Should we talk about the thing we came here to talk about?
The Necron.
Let's talk about the Necrons.
Let's talk about the Necrons next month. Oh.
The Necrons are bioforms of bionetic energy science. The Necrons are.
That's not true.
The Necrons are soulless machines. The Tyranids are soulless organisms.
Yeah.
If you want your hedges pruned, don't call a Tyranid because they'll just eat your garden.
I've just realised what this mini is called today.
A Hortagaunt?
No, because they always get names, right? Like Steve the Tyranid. Well, Timmy the Necron.
Steve the Necron.
Well, Timmy is the mini though, and Steve's the one that gallivanted.
Oh yeah, Steve is the one that went off for pizza and accidentally. Well, we can actually bring this all back round because Steve is the one who found the Tyranids and told them where we lived.
Did.
Yeah.
Man.
He's like that one person who posts on Facebook about a house party, and then like 50 people show up who weren't supposed to be there, and like, adds a location, and Steve, what an asshole! Just turn my location off on your phone, Jesus.
Oh, anyway.
So the Tyranids are technically, or like, in universe chronologically speaking, the most recent appearance in the 40k universe.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, in terms of Games Workshop and Warhammer 40,000, I think it's the Necrons or possibly the Tau. I'm not 100% sure on that. But the thing is the Tyranids didn't come from this galaxy, probably. It's highly unlikely they came from this galaxy.
I mean, I know a little bit because we did cover it in a few episodes actually, like touching on the Tyranid.
It is one of my more favorite like horror stories is the Tyranid Incursions, because it's just so hilarious to be like, hey, welcome to the 40,000 the 40k universe or galaxy even. Look how shit everything is. Also, you're being attacked by giant hive mind bugs, and they may surround the entire galaxy.
Maybe. We don't know.
It's like when you're at the beach and you're building like a sandcastle, and the water, the ocean comes in, high tide, and you suddenly realize there's no way you're getting out of your sandcastle without getting wet.
Except it's death.
And it just keeps slowly like slopping away at the edges of your sandcastle. It's all falling apart. You're like desperately like putting more sand on there, trying to keep it going and keep the water out, but it just floods in anyway. Damn, that is a really, really good analogy for Tyranids. Okay.
Writing that down for future use. I got a new lovely colour.
Ooh.
It's so
Oh,
pretty.
That is a Tyranid / Dark Eldar
Well, we also
color.
have Xerius purple and Gene Stealer purple. Now, I do know that Gene Stealers are Tyranids.
G-Stealers are Tyranids, but they're also not Tyranids because they kind of have their own codex.
Okay.
Well, Gene Stealers don't. Well, they kind of do, but Gene Stealer cults have their own codex.
But just
because
but a
they're
cult can
slightly
just
different.
be in worship of something. Like you could have a cult to the Necrons, right? Or to Orokin.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that Gene Stealers or Orokin are not their selves.
Yes.
We're getting a little. Sorry, it's already started.
I mean, you know,
things.
like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So the Tyranids.
The Tyranids. Let's start the episode.
Do you know why they're called the Tyranids?
Because they're terrifying. And they're
Interesting.
Well, they're not arachnids, but nids.
I mean, they have some kind of they have insecty bug vibes to them.
I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes the names are not the most inspired.
I mean, like, you know, you could play it off the idea of terrifying, tyrant, you know.
Yeah.
But they're not the Tyranids. They're the Tyranids.
Well, I also don't know if the way I'm pronouncing it is correct, if I'm being honest.
As far as I know, Tyranids is correct. So what the reason they're called the Tyranids is because probably the first interaction with the Tyranids, the first time they were seen or anything like that, was on the planet Tyran.
Oh, well, and where someone survived, I'm assuming.
Well, I believe there was a inquisitor who like watched it from afar or something.
Of course he did.
Let me just double check this. Who the fuck named it?
It's already started.
Yeah, I felt like you might ask, so. Who the hell was it who named the there was a commissar? No, it wasn't commissar. That's Cyphus Kane, who he like later on he had a really fun day when he unearthed some Tyranids on an ice world. That was a good time for him. Yeah, there was a fucking
there was a
inquisitor
chilling out,
and he was like, "Oh look, these aliens attack Tyrant. Let's call them Tyranids." Anyway, carrying on. So, it was Krypton. Okay. Anyway, the Tyranids don't come from our galaxy, the Milky Way. They first turned up, I believe, in the north of the, like if you look at the galaxy top down, they came from above.
Yeah.
And to begin with, I believe the first Hive Fleet was Hive Fleet Behemoth. Obviously, the Imperium is the one who named it. And Hive Fleet Behemoth turned up in the 41st millennium in 745. So that's 41745.
Right.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's nice.
Okay.
To give you an idea, the current timeline that we're on, I think, is Millennium 41999. So really recent, like the last 300 years or so.
Yeah. Which is
there have been like hints that maybe the Inquisition and the Ordo Xenos maybe saw them earlier than that. My suspicion is essentially that there were some Gene Stealer cults, kind of precursors stuff. But 745 in Millennium 41, a good 200-ish years ago, 200, 300. So they haven't been around that long. They've just been kind of, pissing about.
Chomping the way of the universe.
Since Highfleet Behemoth turned up at Tyran, all that, 300 years ago, there's been a few Highfleets that have kind of made little bits of incursions into the galaxy, let's say. Highfleet Behemoth, and I'm correcting myself here, actually came, because I know someone else will do it if I don't, actually came from like the southeast, if you're looking at the top-down galaxy.
Okay.
You then have going from top to bottom, so kind of like clockwise, you have Highfleet Moloch, Highfleet Jormungandr, Highfleet Kraken, Highfleet Gorgon, Highfleet Behemoth, Highfleet Hydra, and Highfleet Leviathan. The one that's probably made the most progress is Leviathan.
If I was naming them, I would not give them scary ass names. I'm just saying. Because I feel like it's going to instill some fear a little bit.
Yeah. Would you name them like Steve and Judy and?
Yeah,
because that's what we do with hurricanes, right?
Yeah, I mean there is a practice to naming storms, but like I feel like giving them nice names would not make your troops terrified at the idea of gonna go fighting them.
Yeah, but then they might get all relaxed,
True. But I feel like
if Highfleet Cuddlebug was on the way, you wouldn't be like, oh shit, I better get prepared and fight for my life.
Well,
You'll be
would.
Ready?
Who wouldn't? Cuddling, gross.
Right. So,
nice purpose.
Essentially, 300 years or so. And it was during the Tyran Highfleet came in and just kind of like, the thing about the Tyranids is they have a tendency to, it's not like the orcs, right? Like with the orcs, the orcs kind of like war all around the place and fuck shit up.
Yep.
Very often planets will, in a certain degree, get ruined. Like there's a big war with the orcs, there's scrap metal all over the place, there's orc spores all over the place, there's,
Got orcs forever now, but like with Tyranid.
Yeah. It gets bombed, it gets whatever.
Whatever.
But at the end of the day, there's a chance for the planet to kind of bounce back.
Yeah.
With the Tyranids, once they consume a planet, they consume a fucking planet. Like, it is essentially just a rock at that point.
Yeah.
We'll go into more detail later about how they consume a planet, but just imagine like a lawnmower on the lowest setting. That's the Tyranids. You're basically just chopping up the ground at that point. And they attack Tyran. Ocean world, they all like plop, plop, plop into the ocean, and then blah, blah. We'll go into Tyran a little bit later too. So, have you noticed that I now have like a little aside.
A little warning.
When,
We will talk about that later. Don't ask me questions.
yeah, it's like, oh, it says there's this thing. Don't worry, we'll talk about this later. Just to stymie the wait. So
what about this thing?
Um, so eventually, High Fleet Behemoth was kind of like stopped. And there were a certain...
Wait, but how was it stopped? You can't just say it was stopped.
Well,
I just hit myself in the face with a paintbrush. Whoa, my depth perception is so squiffy with these glasses on.
So, they were stopped by a combination of like Imperial forces, mostly headed by the Blueberries.
Oh, okay. They did something good for once.
Well, yeah, sorry. The Ultramarines had a really rough time stopping the Tyranids. And specifically High Fleet Behemoth. It took them quite a long time to replenish their numbers after that, let's just say that. And we will go into the Battle of Macragge a bit and all that type of thing as well, as we go. One thing, like, obviously, one of the things I love to talk about is the fact that the galaxy is surrounded by Tyranids, possibly. So they're like, if you go in past the known stars and you kind of like, you know, go out into the darkness surrounding the galaxy, you know, towards another galaxy or whatever, it's very likely that in whatever direction you go, there's going to be Tyranids just like floating out there on their way to the galaxy, which is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, doing their thing.
The other thing that's also worrying is it's very possible that they're not attacking, they're running. There's some indications that the reason the Tyranids, like, there are theories that the Tyranids came here for food, to, you know, to the galaxy. There's theories that they just, like, you know, got a... Interestingly, you may find this interesting, it's very possible that the reason the Tyranids came to this galaxy is the Emperor's fault.
Everything is his fault. He's a bad man.
He is a bad man. And a terrible dad.
Terrible dad.
But the interesting thing is I guess technically it's Horus's fault, and more technically it's Magnus's fault, and even more technically it's Erebus and I can't remember the other name of the there's another guy who, like,
there's crime.
It's probably all Erebus's fault.
I feel like it's all Magnus's fault.
Corferon, yeah. So, and Lorgar. The thing is the Emperor has he like puts out the, I was gonna say Necronomicon. He puts out the pulse that like helps everyone travel through the warp, right? The Astronomicon.
Which, like, frankly, not the best idea.
So it's very possible that when he started doing that, when he got chomped on by Horus and then put in the Golden Throne and became the Astronomicon and did all these other things, it's very possible that beacon called to the Tyranids and they were like, you know, sniff, what be that? That smells tasty. And then they came our way. The other theory and the other possibility is that they came from a galaxy where there's something worse than them and they're running away, which is kind of worrying because if they're coming here, then possibly the thing from the other galaxy is coming here too.
It's going to follow them. They left the road open.
Yeah,
Road?
exactly. Well, sure, road.
I meant like the door, but I'm painting, and it's difficult sometimes to be like the correct words, but you know what I meant.
Yeah. Also, Magnus did nothing wrong.
He did so
So
many things wrong.
he didn't, though, did he?
Yes.
He's a good boy.
Someone's playing favorites.
I mean, if we're going to criticize anyone of playing favorites,
The Emperor.
well, I was going to say the famous 40,000 layers painter Tashnor and her insane love for everything evil.
Well, not everything.
In the 40,000 galaxy.
The Emperor's evil.
Like the Necrons, the Drukhari.
It's just your point of view, okay?
Yeah. From your point of view, the Jedi are evil?
Depends. I mean, they just kill children.
Uh,
I'm gonna cough now.
So, one interesting thing about the Tyranids is that they don't just turn up with their ships and nom everything. I mean, they do, but they quite often send out like scouty spores, and because there's no like there's no kind of like metal ship, etc., they can be quite hard to notice.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about like how it works generally.
I mean,
I didn't think that they built stuff like everyone else builds stuff, you know?
they do not. Everything is bio engineered, I guess. So wait, are we sidebarring? Are we wait sewing?
Look, I'm not allowed to say that phrase.
I mean, do you want to know about the?
Are you gonna tell me about it later, or is this my chance? You're not gonna tell me about it later, are you?
I probably will touch on it.
Wait, so how do they make spores? How are they scouts? What are the ships made out of? Why is it biomass?
So, the Tyranids essentially are made are like bioengineered. So they take biomass. You know, they take a planet, right? Like a jungle planet. Say there's nothing sentient on there, just animals and all of those type of things. They jump on that planet. They consume all genetics, all biomass, everything alive or even slightly alive, and some things probably dead.
Yeah.
And just consume it all and absorb it all. They kind of like take it all up to, you know, a big blob. And through that blob, they form organisms, like symbiotic hive mind organisms. Some of these will be as big as Imperial ships. So think of you know those like those fish that live in Wales and they like eat. Is that a thing, or am I thinking of the birds that eat eat between the teeth of crocodiles?
It's a symbiotic relationship. I get it, but my brain went to the like country whales, not the animal, and I'm like,
oh,
what?
I mean, that's kind of
That's a bit of an odd, very specific fish. I don't know of any fish that just lives in the country whale.
It's essentially think of it like what we do with metal. We get metals, we melt it down, and then we turn it into what we need.
Yeah.
You know, so they do the same thing with bionic, biology stuff.
Yep.
And so they turn things into what they need.
Yeah.
If they need to travel to a new planet, which they very often do, they build a hive fleet. And the hive fleet will be made up of thousands or even millions of ships. Each ship will contain the ability to produce Tyranids when needed. You know, so if the ship's traveling along and it needs, and you know, someone like comes across it and it's like, oh, let's step in here, then it can produce warriors and fighters and attack crafts and all
This
that
is so
type of stuff.
but like, how is it sent? Is obviously it's a hive mind, but
Yes.
how is it sentient with that? Is the ship sentient? It's all biomass, right? If everything's made out of goo, and then the Tyranids are made out of goo, and the ships are made out of goo, and then
So each hive fleet is categorized as a separate force, like an individual group of Tyranids that are competing with each other. So, you know, they're trying to get the most biomass, they're trying to consume the most worlds, you know, that type of thing.
yeah,
And each of them do act very differently. They have different strategies. They have different like breeds of Tyranid warriors who kind of act slightly differently and all that type of thing. And within a hive fleet and their kind of like individual consciousness of each hive fleet, they have what is essentially what are they called? They're called like crap. I wasn't expecting to go into this. Synapse creatures.
right.
So say if you consider the fingers on your hand to be like Tyranid Warriors forces, right? The fighters.
Yeah.
Then the muscles that move those fingers would be the synapse creatures. The synapse creatures connect to the hive mind, to the brain. So when the brain wants something moved, the muscles receive that signal and move the fingers. So what you're painting right now is a Hormagaunt. They're essentially like a finger. They don't have any individual kind of intelligence or sentience. They're part of the hive mind. If there is a hive tyrant or a Tyranid warrior with them, then they will have a connection to the hive mind.
Yeah.
And they will be able to move as directed and to do complex strategies and to, you know, like act according to the plan. If say there's a Tyranid warrior with them, if a Imperial Guardsman was to shoot that Tyranid warrior, it wouldn't do anything because the Imperial Guardsmen have flashlights for guns. But if a Space Marine was to come along and like kill the Tyranid warrior, sorry, Imperial Guardsman, I'm being mean, but it's just too true and funny. If a Space Marine was to come along and kill the Tyranid warrior,
yeah.
the Hormagaunts, those guys, would blindly charge the nearest enemy and try and destroy them until they were destroyed themselves.
Okay, it's quite like orcs in a little way. Like
a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
If it's a Termagant, which is kind of the ranged version,
yeah,
they would run and hide. Like they have very basic.
They have like preloaded strategy.
Not even strategy, just kind of like they're genetically coded to act in a certain way.
Yeah.
The Hormagaunts charge, the Termagants run and hide. Like, you know, it depends on their base code, I guess.
Okay.
So every thought, action, every reaction, every everything in the Tyranid, I was going to say lexicon, but that's not right. In the Tyranid existence is linked to the hive mind.
Yeah.
So that's why the Tyranids, and we'll go into this a little bit later. That's why the Tyranids
Every time you
are
say that now, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not allowed to ask. Okay.
that's why the Tyranids cause like a shadow in the warp and fuck around with warp stuff.
Come on now. Why am I not allowed to ask about that right now?
Well, because I'm going to talk about that in a bit. So I'll go a little bit further for you. Essentially, the warp is where all people who have souls go, right?
Sure.
I mean, like if you're if you're an Eldar, and you don't have a stone and you're not a a Dark Eldar, you die and your soul goes into the warp and is consumed by Slanesh. If you're a human and you die, your soul goes over into into the warp and that kind of back and forth.
I love how I argued and you're like the lawman and I'm and you still entertained it. I'm like, yeah.
So the reason why Tyranids kind of fuck around with the warp so much and like leave a shadow in the warp that messes with psychers and all this type of thing is their fingers. If you chop off your finger, it'll be a little bit inconvenient maybe, but you don't die, you don't lose your soul, you don't, your soul doesn't, it'd actually be a lot more similar to like cutting your nails, like clipping your nails.
Okay.
That would be what like losing a Hormagaunt would be like that, even less probably. So like if someone located and destroyed the hive mind, that might make things interesting in the warp, possibly. But the thing is,
well, they wouldn't. I don't think they'd all just die and they'd all just revert to base programming, right?
Sure, but that's they don't have a soul, as it were. So they'd just be a blob of machinery, essentially. Yeah. Just, genetic machinery, biologic machinery instead of metallic. It would be like taking away the programming for a computer.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's still a computer, but the thing that was running it is gone. And the thing is even though each hive fleet is an individual, they're also not.
So, like, I don't know what that means.
So, so the hive mind is the thing that links them all, like all the Tyranids. And each hive fleet, you'd assume, has a hive mind, but they don't.
It's all just one?
It's all just one.
Okay, so someone has the hands, someone has the feet, someone has the hair. Got it.
Essentially, yes. And they're all unlinked to that sentient blob of the hive mind. And we don't really know where the hive mind is.
No, because they try to go kill it.
Yeah. Or, well, like, it's very possible there's just a huge blob in the outer galaxy somewhere.
And
just
if they
sitting
get
around.
close enough, no one can survive long enough to tell everyone else. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. It essentially means that we like as many like there's been so many massive battles where the galaxy's almost fallen to the Tyranids, or the point of no return type stuff, and to give it an equivalent, we've done probably the equivalent of maybe knocking off a couple of toenails off a foot.
That's so
So
annoying, though.
yeah. So we haven't. There's been a little bit of progress in the. I think it was Papa Smurf had a fight and connected to the hive mind.
He
'Cause was a
connected to
psycho.
it?
Yeah, he didn't have a fun time with that.
Yeah. That's not a good idea. I could have told
Like,
him that.
there have been other psychers who've connected to this hive mind in some way. The problem is they're not alive anymore because their brains basically melted.
Yep, I'd do it.
And I think it was a I think it was a librarian, maybe actually in the Ultramarines, because it's always the fucking Ultramarines. And I think they connected to the hive mind.
Okay.
And got like maybe they're insane, but they're alive. Possibly, I can't 100% remember.
Better find out.
What now?
Now.
Are you wait sewing me?
I literally am just gonna wait until you find this information.
Oh crap. Okay. Let's have a look here. I'm like, who connected to? And then autofill is like, who connected to my Wi-Fi? And I'm like, similar. Yeah. The Tyranids might search that. Who's connecting to my Wi-Fi? It's not me. Let's have a little.
I don't want to jinx it, but I'm enjoying painting this.
Yeah. Would you consider would you consider collecting a Tyranid hive army?
A hive? Just a whole hive?
Yeah, just an entire hive.
Maybe. I feel like it's just I've only done 2 colours. I've not even done the 2 colours, but it's quite pleasant.
Oh.
Like,
okay.
Sorry, go on.
So his name was known as Varo Tigurius.
Tigurius.
He's the chief librarian of the Ultramarines. And let's have a look here. Tyranids. His predictions about their movements have been so accurate, it was almost as if he had tapped into the Gestalt consciousness of the hive mind, a feat that has driven lesser individuals insane. Which means
so
that
he's like functioning then.
Yeah.
What a champ.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's a little bit cracked.
Well, you know what?
But that makes sense, really. Like
he's
fair
an
play.
Ultramarine, right? So
yeah.
How many times have they been dropped on the head during training? Why am I throwing Ultramarine shade?
It's possible that he's managed to break in a little bit to the hive mind, maybe get some insights and that type of thing.
But then what insight do they have?
Or just like where they're going and what they're gonna do.
No, but I
and
mean, like, it's not always
tactics.
a one-way connection, is it? Dun, dun,
No, not always.
dun.
Dun dun dun.
He's actually
Um.
a triple spy.
Oh damn it! I lost my place. Where was I?
Sorry.
No, I just had to hunt down Tigurus. Tigurus.
Tigger. Oops.
Wonderful things about Tigers. Tigers
It's
are
a wonderful thing.
Oh god, I love that song. So the we're talking about the hive mind and the biomass. So essentially the giant, like massive ships, essentially like giant space whales, like massive, humongous troop, like biomass transporters, and they all form a hive fleet. And as they go, they will fire off like kind of probes, essentially.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, which will go and go and go until it hits a planet. And if there's life on that planet, you'll get
Not gonna be
the precursors to a hive fleet invasion.
Okay.
Essentially, the more biomass on a planet, the more they can take from a planet, the more likely they're on their way.
Yeah.
And very often it will start off very subtly. Gene stealer cults will very often rise on planets with sentient species. You know, so you start getting some humans acting a little bit weird, acting a little bit sus.
Oh,
And
why'd you say that?
what? Which bit?
Sus.
Oh, suspicious. Better.
Suspicious.
And then there can be uprisings and all that type of stuff, and then suddenly all of your psychers are like bleeding out of their ears and they can't contact anyone, and you realize there's a giant like tentacly space fleet above you that's just firing down like, you know, horrific monstrosities.
Yay!
And then they, you know, consume the planet, and then they keep going. One of the things about the Tyranids that makes them so worrying is their ability to, inverted commas, evolve.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
So there have been times when people have developed like biological weapons, kind of viruses and whatnot. And sometimes it's worked, even like reasonably decently. The problem is every time it works, the Tyranids go away and come back resistant to that.
Yep. Love it. How
So,
do they do it? Just like magic?
Well,
science.
because they essentially absorb everything and then produce from that. Like for example, which Hive Fleet was it? I think it's Hive Fleet Behemoth. But crap, I should check. Okay. So, is it Hive Fleet Kraken?
I don't know. Is it Hive Fleet Kraken?
It might be. I think it was. Yeah. So it was Hive Fleet Leviathan. Because they came from the like southern area, like quite. It's the furthest south and the furthest left on the map. It was a bit of a surprise, and they weren't expecting it. And Hive Fleet Leviathan just came out and really like pushed into the galaxy. I think they're the ones who actually, the Imperium were worried that they might get to Terra, Holy Terra. They didn't, but one of the things that happened with Leviathan is they were distracted.
The Tyranids
Um,
constructed?
yes. They were making a lot of progress. It looked like they were going to even threaten Terra. You know, they were getting closer, and then they were essentially distracted by an orc empire.
Ooh.
Uh, and for quite a long time, the orcs have been fighting the Tyranids there and like stalling them. They haven't been able to advance very quickly.
Yeah.
The problem with that is the High Fleet Leviathan, like some of the tendrils of the High Fleet, have started moving again, and they appear to be a lot stronger now
Yeah,
because they've been absorbing orc,
yeah, tasty orc. So,
which means that they can, you know, like
spawn.
produce stronger
I was gonna
uh,
ask if when they
warriors.
absorb, I don't know, a race like all the orcs,
Yeah.
do they become more orky,
Um.
or like does that have any impact, like what the biomass is, or is it just they are these preset forms?
Yeah. So the
Sorry,
no.
I'm always
You're
with the
you're good.
asides.
I'm trying to bring in a So let's go deeper into the bio war side of things.
Right, yeah.
Um, with they don't use any materials in the sense of like metal, plastic, glass, anything like that.
Yeah.
They consume and splice genes and then bioengineer them and then grow them from the biomatter they consume. So literally everything that they are and that they use, like even weapons and guns and everything, are engineered
Yeah,
biomechanically.
I've seen some
Right?
of the guns and they do look like flesh, like the in the joints and stuff that they have in their elbows are similar to the ones that they have in the guns, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, what do they shoot?
Well,
It's a
we'll
different
get into
question.
that
Sorry.
soon. No. We will get into that in a little bit. I believe it's one of those things where I'm not 100% sure because I haven't got
Is
there
it
yet.
like anything that is shot fast enough is gonna hurt, or is it like
So yeah, it's the Tyranid Warriors are like the base big boys. You know, they've got the scythes above their shoulders, which are like extra arms. They carry guns, they carry melee weapons, and they're like 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot tall, even taller than that. They're kind of like the standard warrior, the standard foot soldier for the Tyranids. The Lictor is essentially an evolution from the Tyranid warrior to be a scout and to find like big planets of biomass.
ah,
So they'll go to a planet and just scout it. And then because they're a synapse creature, they can communicate with the hive mind. If you have a lictor on your planet, most likely the hive mind's on its way.
you are fluffed.
Um, and I think they were the result of. I think it's the absorption of Eldar genetic material, but I might be wrong on that. So
Ooh.
don't quote me on that one. But essentially, yes. Like when they absorb different genetic material, um, they can use that and use the like uniqueness of each genetic thing to essentially create very specific roles and very specific, and that's how they kind of evolve or you know, adapt. They also can just evolve things needed. You know, if they're in a war where they can't get close and it's all like artillery bombardments and stuff like that, they can churn out a whole load of artillery Tyranids who fire like massive spores and stuff like that. So
interesting.
I think, seeing as you asked, when we do the next section, we'll talk about the weaponry a little bit because that's interesting.
Yes, I mean, I haven't given this guy a gun, but I had the option.
Yeah.
I thought the sword hands looked cool.
They do.
It does make him a little bit front heavy though, and he tips over, so I need to put weight in the base. The other one's worse for it. I think that's the purple done.
So yeah, we can take our first break.
We can continue this next episode. See you then.